Are you ready to take your organization to the next level and become a game changer in your industry? Then look no further. Welcome to Yokai Business Show, where we bring you the world's top business thought leaders to share their secrets to success, from leadership development to finance, marketing, self-development, human resource management, and much, much more. Our guests reveal the strategies, tactics, and mindsets that have made them so successful. So let's dive in and learn from the best in the business. Hello and welcome to another special episode on Yokai Business Show. I'm thrilled that you have carved out some time in your busy schedule today to listen into one of our great guests. As always, we love bringing you some of the experts that are really, truly making a huge impact in our world today, in the world of business. And today is no different because my guest today has been at it for several years. In fact, has developed critical skills that are required to pursue what we're going to be talking about. In fact, we're going to be exploring the necessary critical skills needed today. And again, before we jump into the conversation, I want to encourage you to join the conversations that is going on in our community today if you're already a member of the community. And if you're not a member of the community, you want to click the link below this recording and you'll be taken directly into our podcast community. There you'll find some amazing people, amazing previous guests on the show, and also people who just love what we are talking about. Several groups going on there, and I'm always there, and my business partners are always there, and also our guests are always there. So make sure to jump into the conversation because you never know what you discover during those conversations. Now back to our guest here today. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here. Truly appreciate you sparing some time to talk to us today. Now, to get us started, could you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your background, education, and experience in this area? And while at it, do share what has made you a success, because I know a lot of people have tried to do what you're doing here but have not had success. If you had to single out one thing that you've done consistently and has produced the tremendous result for you to develop these critical skills, that would be amazing.
I've been a cognitive neuroscientist for 25 years now. I only started working with public, with teachers, with schools, with students, and with organisations and leaders in the last 4 or 5 years. I realised that a lot of the research that's coming out in the area of neuroscience isn't getting through to the public, isn't getting through to organisations, and I realised that it was time for someone to step up. There are a lot of neuroscience for business and neuroscience for education classes out there, but they're based on research from 25, 30 years ago, and we know most of that research actually isn't valid anymore, and we've made huge strides recently in our understanding of the human brain, how creativity works, how innovation works, how productivity works, how our working memory is able to do all the amazing things that it can do, but most of that doesn't get out into the public. It doesn't get into organisations, and so unfortunately a lot of the people working in this space are using old research, and a lot of people who are working in this area don't have the qualifications, to be honest. They've done a master's degree if you're lucky, whereas I have 25 years of experience of running a large lab, looking at how we socialise, how our brains adapt, how neuroplasticity works, how we can be productive and more productive. And so I wanted to actually start doing that out in the real world, and that's what I've been doing. Most of my research is on how we communicate, how we actually are able to recognise who an individual is, if they're a part of our in-group or out-group, what they're feeling, their facial expressions, those automatic identification of how they're responding to the way we're talking to them, body language, the mirror neuron system, which allows us to actually connect with people, things like C fibers, which are in our skin, which result in the release of oxytocin, which again opens us up and allows us to actually connect with other people, therefore allowing us to collaborate and be innovative with other people, also to allow us to lead and allow us to control a situation so that we can get the best out of people. And we need to realize how we do that and how we do that, how we can do that better. Because there's a lot of mental health issues out there. There's a lot of people struggling with current situations, especially since COVID, but even before COVID. And we need organisations to be more brain healthy. We need organisations to realise that your most important asset is the brains of yourself and the brains of your employees. That's the most important asset you have, and you need to keep that healthy. And so we need to be changing the way we're doing things so that we are keeping both our own brains as leaders healthy, and we're helping all of our staff, all of our employees to also have healthy brains. And there's some easy ways to do that, but unfortunately, a lot of the time it's not happening. How did I get to the place that I'm at now? I have collaborated. I've spent a lot of time working with a lot of different people. I worked at MIT in the USA, which was an amazing place to work. I worked at McGovern Institute for Brain Research there. But while I was working there, I made connections with people in Cambridge University, Oxford University, Harvard University, Duke University, and so on. And I've worked with all those people, National Institute of Health in the US, collaborating with different people and doing that in a way which enables us all to learn and to come up with new and innovative and ideas is really the most important thing I think we have as individuals. I've just written a book which is coming out, which is called The Connected Species, How the Evolution of Our Brain Can Save the World. And that's on a lot of the research that I've done over the last 25 years. It's focuses on the fact that we have evolved a brain that enables us to connect. And the most important thing we can do with our lives is connect with other people, actually spend time with people and collaborate with people, because we haven't become the alpha species on this planet Earth because of the fact that we're the strongest animal or we're the fastest animal or we're the most intelligent animal. We've become the alpha species. We've enabled ourselves to have these amazing technologies and to live anywhere in the world because of the fact we collaborate, because of the fact that we are connected with each other. There is no other species on this earth that collaborates across continents the way we do. There are a lot of insects that have large colonies, but the colonies don't interact with each other. You don't see a bee hive collaborating with another beehive. Yet us as humans, we do that. I have a computer here sitting in front of me, and all of the parts and pieces that go into that have come from all over the world. People from all over the world, all different societies, all different cultural backgrounds, have all come together to build this computer, which is what I'm now able to use. And I think we need to realize that more, and we need to acknowledge that, and we need to start coming back together. And unfortunately, we're spending too much time apart. We have all this, great technology which can connect us, but it's not connecting us. It's driving us apart. People are more lonely today than they ever have been in the past. People have fewer friends today than they ever have in the past. People are less connected today than we've ever been in the past. People don't have the same number of friends and the same relationships or the important relationships that they've had in the past. And we need to realise that this is really, really important, that these connections are really, really important. Being lonely actually results in death. We actually die when we're lonely. And this is why, of course, places like nursing homes, for example, now take their residents out. They have, incursions where they bring people in to actually talk to them. They get them to spend time together actually doing activities and so on. Because we know it delays Alzheimer's disease, it delays dementia, it delays other neurodegenerative diseases. And if you're lonely, if you're stuck in a room by yourself or you're stuck in front of a TV by yourself, you're more likely to get those neurodegenerative diseases and you're more likely to die at a younger age. So we need to be spending more time with each other. We need to be actually interacting with each other. And we need to be doing that face to face, because face to face results in a whole bunch of really important neurotransmitters being released that you can't get when you're online. So organising times to actually have face-to-face meetings, to have time with each other, activates more of our brains than anything else we can do. And not doing that means that we're not getting a lot of those really important neurotransmitters in our brains to allow us to thrive.
Wow, that's an incredible experience that you've had on there. Now, let's dive deep into the purpose of our conversation. In your opinion, having worked with several number of people, what is the first skill every business owner needs to develop when it comes to this area? And maybe you can talk about why this skill is important and perhaps the best way to develop these skills.
I think the most important skill for a business owner to have is the ability to communicate. I work with a lot of different leaders, and the one thing that a lot of them have, the good leaders have in common, is that they communicate so well. They can read what other people are thinking, and based on that, they can communicate what they want to communicate, what they need to communicate to that person. It's an important skill because most of us, whether you've got a large group or you've got a small group, we need to communicate what we're trying to sell. We need to communicate what it is that we have to offer, and so we need to be able to do that really well. It takes time. It takes a lot of practice, and it's not easy to develop that skill, but it is the most important skill. And we know, schools, a lot of schools focus a lot on the idea that students need to be good on computers and need to be able to code and need to do these things. What we do know and what futurists all talk about, 21st century skills for students, is having good emotional intelligence, is having good leadership skills, is having good communication skills, it's having good empathy. And these things you've actually got to learn by actually spending time with people and not being online. And the best way to do that is just to stop and actually give people your time. I see so many people who are constantly checking their phones when they're trying to have a serious conversation with someone, or they'll sit down at a meeting and they'll put their phone in between them and the other person. We know if you've got a mobile phone on the desk in front of you, you're going to have less important conversations with the other person, because the other person is not going to bring up important topics because their assumption is that you're going to get interrupted by that phone. And so what we need to do is put the phones away when we're going to have these important discussions, whether that's with one of your employees, whether that's with somebody from another organisation that you want to collaborate with, or whether or not that's someone you actually want to sell something to. You need to show that you are invested in that person at that timing point. We need to start really focusing on the people who are in front of us, not the people who are texting us, not the people who are liking our posts, not the people who are emailing us, but the person who's in front of us at that point in time, because they're giving you their time, and so you should give your time to them. So turning off the phone and actually having a serious conversation with someone is really important. And that's the way we connect with people, and people really appreciate that these days. And it's amazing because probably 20 years ago, people wouldn't have appreciated that anywhere near the same amount as they do today. So it makes our lives actually much easier as leaders, because of the fact that such a small and such an insignificant thing can have such a big impact on somebody, because so many people don't do it. Also, look someone in the eye. I find that a lot of people these days don't actually look at the other individual. They'll, be looking down at notes, or they'll be, again, looking at their phone. But look them in the eye and actually make that contact by actually looking into, if you like, their soul. I don't like to use that because I'm a scientist, but by looking at someone in the eyes, you actually connect with them, because it's a really primitive way of indicating that you are really, really focused on that individual and on what that individual wants. There aren't any tools or websites or apps that can make this easier. You've got to do it face to face, and you've got to practice it regularly. but it's such an important skill to actually establish.
Outstanding. I just want to talk to you, Bill, listening in the audience today, and maybe a lot of other people listening. What we've just discovered there in that critical skill, if you were to master that, I know that we're going to be talking about other skill sets here, you will see incredible difference in what you're going to do. It may be a slow start, but surely as the sun rises in the morning, you're going to see the difference. So I want to encourage you, if you're taking notes, to put a circle around it. If you are listening in the car, make a mental note to that, and find a way of making sure you implement what you're discovering here today. Let's dive deep into the second skill that you think business owners needs to develop at this stage. And maybe while we're at it, we could talk about the tools or the website or the app that makes this critical skill development a breeze. And maybe we could also explore, if anybody gets stuck in developing this skill, what can they actually do right there and there. I know I've asked 3 questions there, but it would be great if we could answer all those and really give people what actually works.
The next really important skill for any business leader to have is to be productive. We're less productive today than we have ever been in the past. We are super busy. Everyone's busy. Everyone's constantly busy, but we're not actually productive. We're not actually getting stuff done. We need to stop being busy and start being productive. One of the ways to do this is to stop being distracted all the time. So our prefrontal cortices is where our working memory is, and our working memory is what we use to be aware of what's out there, what we're doing. And it is very limited. And so when we're doing work, that's what we're using to do work. But we can only concentrate on one thing at a time. We're not able, our brains are incapable of multitasking. The idea that we can multitask is actually complete nonsense. What we do is we task switch from one thing to another. Now, every time we task switch, it's our attention that drives that switching. And every time we do that, we lose the last 90 seconds of what we were doing. So whatever you were doing, you just lost the last 90 seconds. Every time we get a beep or a buzz or a ding or anything like that from email or one of our social media things or Teams or whatever it happens to be, every time we do that, you lose the last 90 seconds of what you were doing. Your employees also lose the last 90 seconds of what they were doing. So we need to stop all the distractions. We need to stop all that from going on. Also, all of those distractions actually make us more stressful and increase mental health issues. So by eliminating all those distractions, we can actually get more work done. We'll be less busy, we'll be more productive, and our mental health will actually improve. So by turning off all your notifications, only checking your email certain times during the day, which actually schedule into your diary, and teaching all your employees the same thing, that you're not going to expect them to be answering emails 24/7, that there's certain times in the day that you want them to check the emails, and the rest of the time you want them to have the emails turned off so that they can actually get work done, is really important. And so doing that is a great way to actually improve productivity. There are many other ways to improve productivity as well in this busy world. But yeah, one of the best ways is to get rid of all the distractions, because each time you're distracted, each time something pings or bings or buzzes, you lose the last 90 seconds of what you were doing. And that's a lot of 90 seconds that we're losing every day.
Awesome. And now on to our third and final skill that you as a business owner, Bill, ought to develop. I know we are only covering 3 in this because I know you will carry on the conversation in the community to discover more things. But what we are doing here is just highlight the bigger and the broader skill sets that you certainly need to develop. Coming back to you, why is it important to develop the next skill that we are talking about right now? And maybe explore what that skill is and really give Bill and everybody in the audience now more detail on how to do this very thing. And again, if people get stuck in this, are there any tools Are there any websites? And is there a quicker way of developing this that you have discovered, which perhaps a lot of people haven't? Because I know experts have got a way of finding this out. Do share with everybody here so that they know what to do next.
So the third skill I think that's really important is being vulnerable. I think being vulnerable is something that a lot of business owners and organizations don't see as a positive, but it is an extremely positive attribute because it shows that you as an individual are willing to make mistakes, that you as an individual do make mistakes, and so therefore it's okay for your staff to also make mistakes. We can't be innovative, we can't be creative unless we're willing to make mistakes. And unless the business leader, unless the leader in the organisation or all the leaders in the organisation are willing to make mistakes and are willing to show that it's okay to make mistakes, then the staff won't do the same. We've got to lead by example, and by making mistakes and being vulnerable is an extremely important aspect to that. One of the ways, one of the terms you may have heard is psychological safety. It's something that Google works on really, really hard with its teams and how it organises its teams and makes sure that teams feel as though they have psychological safety within those organisations, and so they can be collaborative and so they can be innovative and creative. But psychological safety means that you've got to be vulnerable. You've got to be willing to make mistakes. We don't learn anything unless we do make mistakes, right? You've actually got to make errors. You've got to be wrong to actually realise that you're wrong and therefore improve whatever you're doing. So having a mindset within the organisation that's okay to make mistakes. Making mistakes is really important and is a way to grow as an individual and to grow as an organisation. And therefore, being collaborative, being innovative, being creative is really important. It's embedded in the organisation and it's embedded in all the leaders. So, being a leader who is willing to show that you are vulnerable, that you do make mistakes, that you are willing to allow your staff to do the same is an extremely important skill. You are going to have trouble with this. Well, I think a lot of people, some people find it really easy, some people do it automatically, but a lot of people do actually find it difficult because they've always been taught that as a leader, you've got to be the strong one. You've got to be the one that everyone looks up to and everyone admires. And making mistakes doesn't seem as though that's actually contributing to that ethos, that idea of a leader. But leaders do make mistakes. You look at someone who is a great leader who has a lot of people following them. Most of them you'll see that they do make mistakes and they're happy to laugh at themselves when they do that. They're happy to have a giggle and get on with it. And they know that it's really important to make mistakes and they know that it's really important to do that in a way which allows everybody within the organisation to make those mistakes and therefore be really, really innovative and collaborative and creative.
Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Having covered all these three skill sets, I think if you master those three as a listener today and you schedule it to do over the next 90 days, you will see a dramatic change in what you're trying to do. And you know what? Again, if you need any help with these things, you can reach out to the team in the community or reach out to directly using the web link below to the expert right now. Let's go a little bit deeper. I just cannot resist this to explore. Are there any other major skills at this point that perhaps business owners needs to know that we haven't covered at all during this conversation?
So I wouldn't say it's a major skill. I think it's a technique that I always recommend to everybody I work with, which is to do Pomodoro technique. So if you haven't heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's basically, it was originally designed by or originally researched by a bunch of researchers in Italy where they used tomato timers, which are just, Pomodoro is tomato in Italian. and these timers look like tomatoes, and they just set the timer for 25 minutes. And what you do is, for that 25 minutes that you set the timer for, you concentrate on one thing and one thing only for that whole time. So you have one project or whatever that you're working on, and you get rid of all other distractions, so you're not being interrupted by anything else, and you just focus on that one thing. And it's the best way to be productive. After 25 minutes is up, this timer will go off, and then you get up and you move. So do sit-ups or do push-ups or do squats, or just shake it out if you want, or stretch or whatever. But you move for 5 minutes, and then you sit down and you do another 25 minutes. And if you do that 4 times, then that's 2 hours. And then after the 2 hours, you then have a longer break. Now, it's important that after the 25 minutes you stop, because during that reset time, it actually means that when you sit down and start again, you're in the middle of whatever you were doing, so you'll start straight away. Also, during that 5 minutes, your long-term memory, which is part of your brain that you're not consciously aware of, will actually be working on what you were doing. So it'll actually mean that you've got better ideas when you sit down and start again. And you do it 4 times, so you've worked for 2 hours, and then after that 2 hours, then you can do other things, and that's a great time to, say, check your email or whatever. I do that every day. I do at least 2 hours of the Pomodoro, and I get more done in that 2 hours than I do for the rest of the day. And I'm more productive during that 2 hours. It's been shown to be the most productive way to actually get work done. So, I would really recommend that business owners start using something like the Pomodoro technique to become more productive and to get more done, because it's a great way to do that.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Thank you. Truly, thank you. One of the things I've discovered, even in my own journey, that has helped me and is helping a lot of people in our community, it is the tools that are available in today. Some of the tools, when I started, for example, in podcasting, that have made things easier, we're not there. Right now, we've got a tremendous amount of technology, including the AI. So, in your opinion, having been in this industry for a while and helping thousands of people, are there any specific tools or websites or apps that you think will be very beneficial to the listeners today? I'd love to hear of them. If you could share that with everybody today.
One of the great tools that are out there, there's a whole bunch of different ones that you can use, but there are a whole bunch of apps for doing the Pomodoro technique. So they, as I talked about earlier, the Pomodoro technique is really good at helping you be productive. And then there's a whole bunch of apps that you can download that'll actually do that for you. So it already has the time, and then you just got to turn everything else off, and the app will time it for you, and then we'll let you know when you're finished, and we'll then give you the 5-minute break and so on. So I would say that's probably one of the best for monitoring and doing your Pomodoro sessions.
Awesome. I'm absolutely loving this. I just want to switch gear for a moment here, and talk about mindset. Experience, and even in conversation that I have with other business owners here in the community, has shown me that having a certain mindset when it comes to these things is somewhat can be a decisive factor for success or failure. In your experience as the expert in this area, what do you think is the perfect mindset business owners needs to have, or they must have, in order to develop the skill sets that we were talking about throughout our time here together?
To be honest, I don't like talking about our mindset, because I don't think any of us have a particular mindset. Our mindset changes constantly. We know that, but the frequency at which our different areas of our brains are communicating with each other are changing constantly and have to change constantly. So this idea of a mindset that somebody has and makes them a good leader or whatever, I think is not a good way of thinking about it, because it's going to change. It's going to change based on who they're working with at the time. It's going to change based on how well things are going for them at the time. It's going to change based on whether or not you're working at the time with one of your employees, whether or not you're working with a leader that you're trying to learn from, whether or not you're talking to a customer that you're trying to get in onboarding them onto whatever it is that you're actually selling or trying to promote. So talking about a mindset which is going to help with any of this is, I don't think, a good way of thinking about it. I think it's better to think of the fact that our mindsets are constantly changing and change based on what we're doing at any one point in time. And so, having been open to making mistakes, as I was talking about earlier, and being vulnerable is really important. But that's not a mindset, I don't think. To be honest, I don't really know what people mean when they talk about a mindset, because from a neuroscience point of view, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And so I would say, just realizing that you're going to change and the way you interact with people is going to change based on the situation. If it doesn't, then you've probably got a problem. And so just be aware of that.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. I'm sure, Abil, you're taking note of those. Again, what we'll try to do is condense these tools and put them in the blog or in the write-up right at the bottom of this recording so that you can have easy access to them, because what we are experiencing here is absolute pure gold here. And we're so grateful for that. We are certainly coming toward the end of our time here together, but I never want to close it without giving you an opportunity to share with us anything that I haven't asked you, but that you feel as the expert is an absolute must for business owners, for people to have or to know about if they are going to increase their chances of success. Is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you feel the audience needs to know about?
Yeah, understanding that our perception is based on our experiences, that the way we see the world is based on our memory. We don't actually perceive the world based on what's actually out there, but rather what we know is out there based on our experiences. And I'll give you a quick example of that. When I speak, my voice box moves, which causes vibration in the air, and your eardrum moves because of that, and three little bones move because of that, which then moves another little membrane, which moves your cochlea, which pushes little hair cells up against the tympanic membrane, which causes activity, which goes into your brain, and then your brain creates an illusion that you're hearing a sound. But there is no sound in the world. There is only vibrations that are occurring. And so what we're perceiving, what you're actually perceiving, is based on your experiences of the world and what's really important for you as an individual based on your evolution and our evolution. Hearing sounds is really important. Understanding that there's vibrations out there that are caused by movement is really important for us from a survival mechanism. So our brains have created this illusion that we're hearing sound so that we can actually survive better. But it's not actually what's actually out there. And all of our perceptions are the same. We smell things because chemicals go into our noses, can get stuck in the mucus, which then traps them, and they then connect to neurons which are hanging into that mucus there. And that then activates a pathway, and our brains create an illusion that there's smell. But the chemicals themselves don't smell, right? Those atoms that are floating around don't actually smell. It's the illusion that's been created that creates that sense of a smell. Why am I saying this? Well, it's really important for business owners to realize that all of us have different experiences. So therefore our perceptions of the world are different based on those experiences. And so therefore everybody who comes to you and everyone you work with is going to see the world slightly differently. And so you need to take that into account when you're working with people, when you're trying to work with a customer, when you're trying to work with your staff, when you're trying to lead and so on, that your perception of the world is going to be different to their perception of the world, and their perception of the world and the way they are and their state and so on is going to be based on their experiences, not on your experiences. So keeping that in mind whenever we're working with people is really, really crucial.
Awesome. Thank you so much for a great interview. Truly, This has been outstanding. And I never want to finish our time together here without giving you an opportunity to share with everybody how they can connect with you. And I know many of our listeners here will be sending messages in the community right now as we speak to connect with you or even ask follow-up questions. So where can people connect with you? The easiest place, maybe it's your website or any social media. Would you share with everybody here today?
So yeah, if you go to my website, drmarkwilliams.com, you'll see there's a couple of different pages there. One, of course, will give you links to my book, which is coming out, which the book actually has a whole a summary at the end of each chapter and then tips on how to actually improve things in your own life around connection. So it's crucial for a leader to read, because they'll actually get tips at the end of each of the chapters on how to actually improve their ability to communicate with people and connect with people, which is really, really important. But then I also have a whole bunch of documentaries and things that I've been on in the past, so you can have a look at those, and also a newsletter as well that you can look at and you can read. And then you can sign up to my newsletter. So I have a monthly newsletter that I send out, which has tips and tricks, but also has upcoming courses that both you or your staff could actually attend, and webinars and so on. So, you can sign up to that newsletter and you'll hear all of the things that I'm up to, all of the things that I've written and so on, that you can keep up to date on the latest in neuroscience and trends in neuroscience, but also sign up to any of those great courses that I run quite regularly. So, sign up and have a look.
Awesome. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a great conversation we've just had here. Truly life-changing information that when you apply it in your life, you will see true results. And again, if you are struggling with any of the area that we have talked about here today, go back into the community. You can ask questions. You will get support from your fellow listeners, and I'll be in there. My team will be in there. My business partners will be in there as well. And would you actually, before we jump off, share with everybody how you too are going to be helping people beyond this recording in the community? We certainly would love to do that. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with this. Live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly, truly yet to come. Goodbye, everybody. Talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to Your Kai Business Show. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode and have gained valuable insights and inspiration from our amazing guest. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review to help us spread the word. Also, be sure to check out our Leadership Ultimate Success Mastermind program, which is designed to help you and leaders in our community to do great things and support each other along their leadership journey. Until next time, live well, live with passion, know that the best is truly yet to come.